We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, episode number 100! Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, three aspiring sellouts, Chad, Michelle, and Garrett. Hello and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Podcast is it's all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. I'm your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-hosts Chad Kukahiko and Michelle Lucadou. And we're all of us independent filmmakers. Michelle joined by BB-8 today. We're all of us independent filmmakers and members of the We Make Movies filmmaking community in Los Angeles. And this week, we're not telling you how to get your movie made. We're not telling you how to get it seen by other people or how to get it awesome. We're just talking about Star Wars. But first, can you believe we've done 100 episodes of this show?
That's crazy.
Woo-hoo!
That's insane.
Crazy to me.
Insane.
So
Insane.
happy 100th. I should have something
I
alcoholic.
should have a beverage.
Yeah.
Happy 100, kids. I can't believe it.
Happy
I know.
100th, kids.
100 anonymous episodes.
Anonymous. Why are they anonymous?
My
I don't
real
get
name's
it.
Sally.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just, because our listening base is so vast.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
listening
indeed.
to you, Chad.
I'm going to, actually, there's a little bit, before we get into the Star Wars bit, there is some news I have to share. How's his head moving? Is Patrick controlling
BB-8 is
him?
alive. No.
Is Patrick
BB-8
controlling
has
him?
No, he's not. BB-8
What?
does his own thing. He just
Is he charging? Is that like a little
Right?
charging
BB-8?
station?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I want one so bad.
I want
And you
one
can pull
so
out the
bad.
plug, and
So
what's
bad.
really funny is BB-8 still like moves around, and it's like really creepy.
That's amazing.
Love
Well,
it.
anyway, there's some big news that happened this week. It was pretty funny because I get an email on Tuesday. For any of you who don't know, We Make Movies has been a little bit of in a sort of, we've been a little bit homeless ever since the theater asylum, which has been our home for 2 years since the very beginning of 2014, got sold apparently to a school, this Episcopal school. Unbeknownst to us, that deal actually fell through. And on Tuesday, we discovered that the actual... you guys, I can't believe you don't know this, Garrett. You've not
No.
been paying attention.
I don't know.
You neither? It's been,
No.
I can't believe you guys don't know this.
I've
Okay,
been
so...
Christmas shopping.
Well,
dude.
separately, we've been talking to this group, Sacred Fools. If you don't know the theater company, they've been around for a long time. I actually did a play with them back when I was an actor. They're a really cool company. We have a lot of sort of philosophical things in common, though they are a nonprofit and we're not a nonprofit. There are a lot of things that we both believe that are very kind of in sync. And so we've been talking to them for months. John Bigham, one of our members, kind of spearheaded that movement, and I really, really, really appreciate the hard work that he's done to make that happen. And then actually a guy that I was in that play with back in like '99 or whenever I did that play, Paul Plunkett from Sacred Fools, he kept telling me that there's, they have some interesting stuff going on, but heliotrope theater is where the Sacred Fools have been for I think almost 2 decades. And it's not super close to Hollywood. I mean, officially it's part of Hollywood, but it's definitely the east end. It's on Melrose, just south of, it's on Heliotrope, just south of Melrose. And so we were on the fence about going there, and they told us point blank that we would not be able to be, they couldn't accommodate us in January. And so we were like, all right, well, we didn't know what to do. So we kind of pulled the trigger on this place called Light Space, Melrose Light Space, which we talked to you guys about last week. Well, Tuesday, we find out that the Sacred Fools are actually now the proud new owners. They don't own the space per se, but they are basically in charge of the whole Elephant Space complex now. So they are going
where the theater asylum is.
Theater Asylum, Asylum Lab, Elephant Space, Elephant Lab, and the Lillian. They have it all. They're running this all. So Paul was being kind of cagey about the specificity of what he was talking about. We just thought they were going to acquire the space across the street, which is this tiny little space. And I was like, yeah, but when we found that out, we were like, holy crap, there's a chance we could be home in the Theater Asylum within a couple of months. So we're talking to them. We kind of already made a little bit of a deal with this guy at Melrose Light Space, which is a cool space. But I mean, when the chance is to go home to the theater asylum, I mean that obviously we have to give that a shot. So there's a lot they don't know yet. There's a lot that they're kind of figuring out. They don't even know who the person on their team is who will be actually managing all that stuff. But we might be home, guys. We might be back at the theater asylum, and that's really exciting. I was so sad when we left. I was like, it's like the end of an era, and apparently it's not. Apparently we might be going home pretty soon. So more obviously as that develops, January, they definitely cannot have us back in January, so we're definitely going to be in the Melrose Light Space in January. BB is hilarious. Do you promise you're not controlling him?
I'm not doing anything.
Is Patrick doing that?
No,
he
just
so
doesn't do it.
Chad, while you were talking, I did keep putting her back up on the screen because how could you not? I mean, that guy, like, come on, BB.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I'm so glad
I can't believe you guys
That
know
would be
this.
amazing.
I posted a whole huge thing on Friday about it, or was it Thursday, on Facebook.
Yeah, I barely ever do Facebook, like ever, period, hardly ever at all.
Wow.
I'm bad about the social media.
Yay! People got to see or hear the live reaction of me hearing it, so that's just good radio, I guess. It was all planned. It was all calculated. Okay, so now we need to talk. We're going to talk about Star Wars. We want to let everybody know right up front. We are not going to talk about spoilers at first. We are not going to. We're going to launch into a discussion about general things. We're not going to get into, unless Michelle Don't forget.
You can't sneak in spoilers.
Okay. No. Then, at one point, when we feel like we have naturally come to the end of our spoiler-free discussion, then we will announce very heavily for a couple of minutes straight that we're doing spoilers. So at that point, you want to tune out. Now, if you're one of those people who doesn't want anything spoiled, if you don't want to hear whether we liked it, if you don't want to hear if we thought it was good, if you don't want to hear a general discussion on certain elements of the plot without revealing actual happenings in the plot, if you're one of those people, you want to tune out right now. And I'm just going to let you know. Get out, because I know some people don't even want to know if other people think it's good. That's fine. This is no warning.
That was me prior to actually yesterday at 5 o'clock. I wanted to hear absolutely nothing, so no one will blame you.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you haven't seen Star Wars by Sunday, which is today, then I'm taking away your geek card anyway. So
yeah, what are you doing on Film Geeks?
You're not even paying attention to us.
You nerd.
you poser.
You poser.
BB-8, what do you think about that? BB-8, what do you think? Oh, snap.
Oh, he's so
is he lighting?
Adorable.
Is that light coming from him?
It's coming from his soul.
So for anybody who's listening on the auto feed, I just want to let you know, Michelle has a BB-8 droid, a little toy where the head moves around and everything. It's super cute. We love it. Okay. So now that the spoiler warning has been issued and we've bullshitted for a couple of minutes, like now, okay, so let's talk. So, did anybody not like it?
I hated it.
Get out. Well, we've had a really great run on We Make Movies Film Geeks, but I'm afraid the show cannot continue.
Show 100. Michelle is remotely exploded. No, it was amazing. It was everything. It was everything I wanted.
It was so everything.
Yeah. I mean, it was, it's funny because in the middle of it, we got into a conversation about Harrison Ford, and it's been kind of my long-standing unpopular belief that Harrison Ford is the luckiest man in Hollywood, because I don't think he's actually a very good actor. I don't. I think he's got two things that he's got in spades, and because those are so valuable, they've helped him be Indiana Jones, Han Solo. He's got, and Kendall thinks he's charming. I don't think he's charming at all. I don't. I think he's got an everyman quality.
Okay.
And he has comic timing. He's got solid comic timing, and he's got this everyman quality, and that's it. Everything else...
I think he's charming. I think he's super charming and charismatic.
I don't think so at all. I don't think so at
He
all.
rocks the like charming sarcasm, but I will say that he at least is a better actor than Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher back in the day was fantastic. She's just lost her mind over time.
Now, maybe charm is the wrong word for Harrison Ford. Would you agree that he has charisma?
It's the same thing.
Oh, okay, good.
No,
well,
it's not.
It's different. I would say it's different. I would say that, like, who's somebody who's got a lot of charisma but no charm?
I don't think of them as different at all.
Yeah.
I bet you if you look up the definition, you'll see the other.
I think charm relates to another person, and charisma is very self-centric.
I think charm makes people like you, and I think charisma makes people listen to you. Like, makes people want to kind of shut up and listen to what you say. Like,
I don't see any difference between
Like
them.
Trump. Trump has charisma but not charm.
I think we should not talk about Donald Trump at all on this show. I think I'm going to nip that conversation in the butt.
Okay, charisma, a spiritual power or personal quality that gives an individual influence or authority over large numbers of people. Okay, so it's more sort of clinical.
Yeah, exactly.
Than charm.
Charm, like, I would say, you know, I can be charming. I don't know that I've ever been...
Attractiveness. Pleasing and attracting, personality, beauty. Okay, so it's beautiful, basically. Pretty, handsome.
That's for charm? Oh, see, I would say that charm is like, yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, enough about Harrison Ford's charm and or charisma and or lack of either one, or both.
And I just love, too, that his, like, nose is all crooked, too, and he's just, like,
that's the everyman quality. I mean, that thing is... That sort of those two elements together are so valuable that I think that it gives him the ability to play Han Solo really well. I mean, he's this raggedy dude who, like, pisses off people, you know what I mean? And I think I agree with you. Yeah, like, in terms of, like, he's one of those actors who's, like, he just kind of is himself, and he is himself in everything. Like, no one would say that, like, I don't think anyone would argue that, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is an amazing actor. He just shows up and is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it just works because the movie is built around him being Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? Yeah. Harrison Ford is often the same way, although he maybe has a little bit more range than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
But
a little bit.
And this is like, I mean, this is
not the same pecs.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the two roles he was born to play, and he just is Han Solo. Like, he shows up, and you're like, oh well, shit, that's like definitely Han Solo.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't feel like he dialed it in at all or anything like that. Like, he was really being Han Solo.
Yeah,
so that was great. Okay, so again, speaking in general terms, the new characters. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
The new main three are great. Now,
they
didn't. This is. I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is like a super gentle spoiler. I look forward to seeing more of Poe in movies.
Yeah.
You know,
but the bad guy too. That guy's good.
Oh my God, Adam Driver. People know Adam Driver. Yeah. Oh my God.
And it's just, he's got one of those perfect bad guy faces too, which is just very exciting.
But he's a good he's clearly a good actor as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is like, it's such a blessing. You know, I mean, it's we talked about it last week that it could have, you know, they could have just hit mild mediocrity and still just won everything. I mean, I'm already reading that they're destroying all the records right now.
All the box office records.
All the records. Like, they've already made more money than the entire run of Jurassic World. I mean, that's crazy.
Even like it's so funny that, like, as a New Yorker, a former New Yorker, like, the first thing I do is like look at the Times, and I was for sure the New York Times was just gonna, like, they want to pan it, but it was just glowing.
Yeah.
It was so
But
interesting.
I mean, really, they couldn't fail. Like the prequels
It
were
could.
so bad. No, I don't think it could have. I mean, I think he would have had to try. I mean, he
Right.
would have really had to try. Now, next episode's going to be more difficult because people,
Right.
this will be in their minds. It was like the new Star Trek. You know what I mean? JJ had with that script, he had, he had a more difficult time pulling that off than he did this.
Right.
People were less willing to be. It was like the prequels were so awful, and everybody knows them as awful that it was. I mean, really, he would have had to try to have jacked this up. I mean, at the end of the day, this is no Citizen Kane. Do you know what I mean? This is never going to go down in the history of films as like a really amazing film as far as films go. But as far as franchises go, and as far as this kind of thing goes, as these big spectacle shows that are part of a series, I think it was fantastic. But he was really set up to win. He really, really, really was.
And you gotta give a big acknowledgement to who's the casting director? I know their name. Force Awakens casting director.
Glad you did your research on this one.
Yes, right, totally. Nina Gold, and she's worked with J.J. Abrams a lot. I'm pretty sure that she did cast the Star Trek films. Yeah,
that initial casting of that was so good.
Yeah,
so good.
And Daisy Ridley as Rey is so great.
Yeah.
She's just such a great character. She plays it so amazingly well, and she has such a good arc and story. And John Boyega as Finn.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no spoilers.
So
He's so great. His character arc is.
See, you say the main
will
three.
say though that like one of my favorite things about that whole all of the casting in general is that it's just a wonderfully kind of open-minded cross section of our world.
Yes.
Like we've got a lot of different ethnicities and different sexes. Like it's good.
Yeah. And I like that they kind of rotated things around where when I say the big three, Chad, as you were about to say, the big three from the original one were Han, Luke, and Leia. And of the three in the first film, Leia was she had the least going for her in terms of character and like time spent on her in the movie. Still did great at it, but like. Luke and Han are in 70% of the movie, and Leia's in like 50% of the movie. And in this case, it was Daisy Ridley being
You got excited when you said
the main character, and then Finn being the secondary main character, and Poe, the mostly white dude, being the tertiary main character.
You barely saw him almost.
Yeah, he's there. He's part of the trio, but he's
I can't think of them as a trio. Like, I can't think of them without thinking of the bad guy.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yes, but
I think of them as a quartet because they are sort of the new main, and it was about them.
As little about the bad guy in the non-spoiler section as possible because it would be so easy to stray. Like we've already said a couple of things that I wish we hadn't said.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, why?
I'll put them in chat, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because chat is bad for the audio feed.
Okay, fair enough.
But anyway, so the action scenes were, I mean, like Abrams' action scenes are always kind of awesome, but in A New Hope when Harrison Ford and Luke Skywalker Han Solo and Luke Skywalker have their first space dogfight on the Millennium Falcon, and Luke blows up a TIE fighter, and they're both cheering. There's like 3 or 4 action scenes in this movie that made me feel as excited as that were just so badass.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that what I really, really loved about this was that the story was simple. You know what I mean? It was like those things that you sent me, Garrett, that you posted on Facebook. That it was this guy from YouTube who basically went through the first 3 films. Or rather episodes 1, 2, and 3, and he basically said this is how it would be if it was actually a good film. And that's at the end of the day, that was what I took. Is he focused sort of on a main character in each one, and he simplified the stories substantially. And that was the problem with those, is that they were all over the place, and that wasn't the case here. It's a very simple story. You understood who you were, you know what I mean? You understood the complete, and it never strayed. And that's all you need. You know what I mean? It's very simple stuff, and that's what, I thought it was fantastic. Rotten Tomatoes is 95, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
95.
And it was interesting. Like there were some people. I mean, obviously, I don't think this is a spoiler because there's a cast list on IMDb. But Greg Grunberg, who I love from Heroes, it was just so fun to see him because he's just like a not your average kind of Star Wars type guy.
Right. Who's he?
He plays his Snap Wexley, but he's like one of the pilots.
Oh, okay. Yes. The bigger guy.
Yeah.
The bigger guy from Heroes.
Oh
yes, yeah. Yeah, no, I like him too. It's good to see him.
And I also love that there was a chick pilot who I'm like, we win.
Okay, so we got to talk about that. Star Wars, the original trilogy, is a little bit like Lord of the Rings in that sci-fi and fantasy geeks like me totally love both those properties, but it's like, hey, Star Wars, there's 2 women in the entire original trilogy. Hey, Lord of the Rings, there's 3 women in the entire 1,500-page saga of those books, and they're good women characters, but there's 3 of them. This movie was like, you want ladies? 3rd person you see on screen in the entire film, that's a lady. You want lady stormtroopers? We got lady stormtroopers. We got ladies running the Star Destroyers. We got fucking lady aliens. You want lady Jedi? We got them. Ladies! You get a lady! You get a lady!
Yeah,
it's good. I was like, yay!
Yeah.
It is nice. And interestingly enough, when I saw it, all of the trailers that were before it, I for some reason, I get on this horse, and I'm like, there are, a quarter of the women in Hollywood and action films, even action horror, whatever, than there are men. And as all of the trailers are playing, I was like, all dudes, all dudes, all dudes. We were looking, what's the new Moby Dick?
Did you see a trailer for a new Moby Dick?
No, the Moby Dick story. The
I know nothing about this. I didn't see this trailer.
No, really? It's it's the new Moby Dick movie. Whatever. And there's one chick in it. And it's you're like, oh God. Anyway, and I was bitching about it to my boyfriend. He was like, would you just shut the fuck up so we can watch Star Wars? And I'm like, but there's no chicks in Hollywood! And then,
It's called In the Heart of the Sea, apparently.
There we go, In the Heart of the Sea. There's
that's about Moby Dick?
Well, there's a big whale tail on the poster, so I believe it.
Oh, okay.
Whale tail, interestingly, not a euphemism. So, So it was definitely better in terms of that sort of stuff. And I just want to call attention to the fact that one of the most badass women in the entire film never takes off her helmet. Captain Phasma.
Right.
Played by Gwendolyn Christie, who people know from Game of Thrones. Yeah, well, I'm sure she will. But I just love that she didn't take off her helmet during the entire movie, because she doesn't. That's not what...
are we kind of getting into spoilers now?
I don't think so.
No?
Maybe. Maybe we should move into the spoilers.
Maybe we should, because there's a topic that I really wanted to discuss that's related to stuff that we were just talking about that is definitely a little spoilery.
Okay, good. So let's announce now.
Is it non-spoiler spoiler time? Yep.
What do you mean?
I wanted to BB.
It's spoiler
telling
time.
BB.
I get it. That's adorable. I want to mention one more thing that is not a spoiler, but is the thing that I've been talking about to people who, when I've been to a couple holiday parties over the last couple of days, and I've run into people who haven't seen it yet, and I'm very annoyed. But there's one thing that I can tell them about and talk to them about, and you guys will recognize this too, and you might have already heard it. In this film, a Jedi mind trick is pulled on a stormtrooper. No more details than that. But that stormtrooper is Daniel Craig, the current.
No.
Yep.
Really?
Apparently, he came and he was like, "Can I be in Star Wars?" And they were like, "Well, we got all the roles. All the roles are taken." He was like, "No, not being in stuff, but just any." They were
Oh
like,
my
well,
God, that's amazing.
we have a scene with a stormtrooper in it. Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh my God.
So he came. He was in the costume. He did the
That's
voice.
amazing.
If when you watch it again and you hear that, or if somebody listening is watching it for the first time, you'll hear that voice and you'll be like, "That's Daniel fucking Craig."
I'm definitely
That's
definitely
on
watching
his
it again.
IMDb as uncredited. It's like the first
That's
uncredited
hilarious.
like credit that Daniel Craig has gotten in like 20 years.
That's amazing. So the thing that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, spoilers. Big spoilers.
Big spoilers.
Huge spoilers now. Stop listening. If you're in the car, we'll give you a sec to reach for your phone. Turn it off. You shouldn't do that while you're driving.
You probably should have already, because we kind of keep hinting at it. So
Okay,
anyway,
so now spoilers.
So the thing that I really appreciated, and I like, you know, that people in like the South and whatnot, heads are kind of exploding, is this sort of love story, sort of, that goes between Finn, who's black, and this white girl. And I'm like, I know that there are, and I love that this big franchise isn't afraid to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're not afraid to you know,
Explore that.
to educate these, you know.
Now, I'm a little curious. I am wondering if that is going to develop into a love story, because it might not, and not because I would actually be intrigued if they didn't, because I would enjoy if that broke the trope of just because a guy and a girl are in a film together, they have to end up together.
Well, you don't see her really attracted to him yet. I mean, he's clearly attracted to her. He clearly.
She's Daisy Ridley.
She's totally attracted to him.
I'm not. I don't. When did you see that? I didn't see that.
When she was like, when she was like, don't hold my hand, and then he fell, and she like went in and she grabbed his hand, and she kind of gave him this like, this look, you know what I mean?
Oh no, that look. I interpreted that look was because he was like, "Are you okay?" Like after he got blown up, he immediately gets up and is like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like the fact that he didn't get up and be like, "We got to keep running." First, he wanted to make sure that she was fine. Like, she's never had a friend in her fucking life that she can remember. You know what I mean? That's what I interpreted.
She wasn't giving him like little doe eyes, like when in the forest after the lightsaber fight.
You probably recognize doe eyes better than I do.
Yeah.
After the lightsaber fight in the forest, she thought he was fucking dead.
I know, but she was like, "Oh, come back to life." Like it was.
Yeah, she totally
turning
wouldn't
it
do
into a
that
porno. I think you saw a slightly different Star Wars.
BB-8, what did you see? Oh, he saw porn. Yeah. He's excited.
Wow. He is excited.
Okay, so go ahead.
Is a great. Well, there was actually. I mean, that was kind of it, but I wanted to move on to something else, but I kind of forgot what it was.
Okay, so BB-8 is the best droid.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love R2-D2? But BB-8 just kind of blew him out of the water a little bit. Like, he's got more emotion, he's got more expression.
With less tools. I mean, that's what's interesting. That's what's really interesting is that.
I mean, the big thing is the head, right?
Yeah, the head is big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But boy,
I am certain that Michelle saw a different Star Wars. I am certain. Go ahead. You go. You got it.
I do, and you know what? I will say Daisy Ridley does a really good job of humanizing him as well.
Yeah.
I think that there's like a really great like affinity kind of affection there. But like I think it's I don't know. I feel like with the droids, it's always been the sounds that they make. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. The sound design really, really sells them. And
an interesting note: BB-8 sound design was all vocalized. It was all human vocalized, and then run through like sound, equipment to like equalize
did
and
they
stuff.
work with like Henson people on that or something?
I don't know. I remember who I heard who it was, and I recognized the names. It was like two people who have done something I've heard of, but I don't remember it off the top. But as opposed to R2-D2, who was computer generated from the beginning, they wanted. They said that the specific aim for BB-8 was that they wanted kids to be able to mimic the noise.
I see.
So that's why they did that.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah,
that's really smart.
Yeah.
Poe was really good. One thing. Oh, this was what I wanted to ask.
Okay.
One thing I didn't understand is exactly how was Rey abandoned?
Well,
And why?
well, there's a lot of theories. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So one theory is that we don't know exactly how old these characters are supposed to be in the film. If she's supposed to be about 18, and Kylo Ren is supposed to be about 28, let's say, which I don't think he is. This is one
He
theory.
really seems younger than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
story-wise, this is my favorite theory, but there's some problems with it timeline-wise. But if Luke was training Kylo Ren, and then and Rey is Luke's daughter,
Right.
which the movie seemed to be pointing to, and it seemed to
Yeah.
be pointing to so much that I am almost afraid that it's going to be that way unless they explain it really well.
Isn't there a Rey Skywalker in like the comic book canon?
The comic book canon has been gotten rid of. They said none of that's canon anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
none of the extended
interesting.
universe. Now the thing is that there was a Ben Solo in the previous extended universe.
Right.
So that's one thing that they took, but they've said all of that stuff, it's hit or miss. Like, we're going to borrow some stuff from
Oh,
that.
interesting.
Yeah. So
But there was a Rey Skywalker in the comic book canon, am I right?
maybe there was Rey Skywalker. Who is Rey's
Okay.
mother? She doesn't come up on Wikipedia, so it
Did you
doesn't.
just say Wikipedia?
You guys don't know that Wikipedia is a thing?
I'm sure
Okay.
now I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So Luke did have daughters in the original. Luke had kids in the original extended universe.
Right.
So a theory that I really like is that Rey was with Luke at the new Jedi training thing,
Right.
whatever it
Right.
was, and
And then
Kylo
it was
Ren,
there.
and
on-
Kylo Ren, if he was sufficiently older than she was, he killed the Jedi, and so Luke hid and probably killed Luke's wife as well.
Oh.
And then Luke took her to Jakku and abandoned her there. And that would explain why when the commander comes to Kylo Ren and says, there was a girl, he turns around and grabs him and he's like, what girl? Like, we think Kylo Ren knows something about Rey. We think he knows more about her than we do.
Right.
And so if she's Luke's daughter and he knows that somehow, that would explain why he got so upset at that point, and it would explain why he offered to be her teacher later, because he wants to take her away from Luke, who
Right.
he's still
Right.
trying to rebel against.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my favorite theory.
Yeah,
The other
interesting.
theory is that, I mean, most theories revolve around the fact that she could be Luke's daughter. I almost would like them not to do that, because if everything didn't have to revolve around the Skywalkers, that would be great. But they have said that all of the episodes, the episodes 8 through 9 and whatever, are going to revolve around the Skywalkers. So it's like,
So yeah. So she's probably a Skywalker.
she's
in other
probably a Skywalker.
And
yeah.
if that's the case, so who was her mom?
Dun, dun,
Yo,
dun.
Yo,
There was a woman in the extended universe named Mara Jade, and that was who Luke had kids with in the extended universe. But again, that's no longer canon, so it's a bit of a crapshoot whether that is
Maybe
accurate
she's
or
adopted.
maybe she's adopted. There are rumors that she could be Obi-Wan's granddaughter.
But why?
Ooh.
Oh wow. But why would? I just don't understand why he abandoned her. That I never really got.
That's the thing, is like, if he was abandoning her to keep her away from Kylo Ren, well, I guess I understand, but it's a pretty shitty thing.
And he kind of failed.
And he kind of failed. And also, people have said that she is another child of Han and Leia. I reject that theory utterly.
Yeah.
Because after seeing the way Leia reacted to Kylo, to losing Kylo and then losing Han, the idea that she'd just chuck her daughter onto some desert planet and just kind of be okay with that? No, fuck that. She'd never do that in a million years.
Right.
So
This
I
fetishizing.
mean, but they did, when they first saw each other, they just hugged. They didn't say shit.
that's true, but it could also be because Leia knows that Rey was there when Han died. I mean, I have heard people talk about that, and they seem to read a bit into it, because Rey hugged her too. I would understand if Leia was like, oh, but Rey was just like, Hey,
It came across as like, oh my God, Han is dead. That's what it was to me.
Yeah.
This guy who was important
Or
to
there
both of
was
us, clearly.
originally a line there, and Carrie Fisher forgot how to talk, and so they were like, "Fuck it."
Too bad about
you guys are so bad bashing Carrie Fisher.
You know what? By the way, I wish they wouldn't have, like, it looked to me like her chin throughout the entire movie had been digitally touched up. And, like, I wish they didn't do that. Like, I wish they could have just left your chin the way it was.
Are you sure they actually did that, though?
It sure looked like it. It looked like a digitally enhanced chin throughout. Yeah, to
I
me
don't
it did.
know. Maybe.
I'll bet you. I will bet you her chin was digitally altered. I know because I've done it before for I don't want to say
like
who.
digitally altered so that like she
Got rid
doesn't
of
have a
wrinkles.
double chin.
Got rid of wrinkles or something. They
The
did
rest
like
of her
I've seen
has
how
been
that software
digitally-
works. No, it's just it was just the chin where it was really, to me, very clear. I don't know how much else they touched up, but I've used that software before. I'm not going to say on who. It was sort of a client on some work that
I don't know if you
even
look at her
mention.
picture, if you look at screenshots of her from interviews versus screenshots of her from the movie, they look pretty similar. I mean, maybe there was a little bit of makeup, something. I don't know.
or
I don't
a
know.
lot of fucking Botox.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, I
God.
don't think there's any really that much
Like
question that she's had a bunch of that.
Like
What was hilarious to me was I heard one reviewer talking about coming out of the movie, and they saw it with a friend, and their friend was like, I don't know if they should have used the original cast to play Han, Luke, and Leia. He was like,
What?
why would you? Why? Like, okay,
That's crazy.
I'm gonna not immediately reject that, and I'm gonna ask, why do you say that? And he's like, I don't know. I didn't feel like that's how those characters would look when they got older.
wow.
What the fuck does that even mean? Like,
How old was the person talking about this?
in their 20s.
Oh yeah. Okay. So ageist. Ageist. That's what that is.
Yes, I don't know.
Yes.
It's like I don't know. I felt like those characters maybe would have looked different when they grew older. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, I want to talk about one other thing.
40 or 50-year-old would have said that. It had to
Yeah.
have come from a 20-something.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm
And it is.
20-something. I just want to point that out.
It is ageist. That's an ageist comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
for
just
sure.
saying it is. Yeah.
So I want to point out another thing that I heard from another reviewer, Mr. Sunday Movies, which just cracked me up, and I want to share it with people who have seen the film as well. The scene where the new Death Star, which is another thing I want to talk about, where the new Death Star blows up the Republic.
Yeah.
The way he put that in his review was, I felt like that was J.J. Abrams just going, hey, you know the prequels, how we all hated all that politics and Senate talk and bullshit? No more of that. I'm blowing it the fuck up. It's gone. It's all gone. Fucking blowing it up.
That's
No
hilarious.
more.
That's
so
hilarious.
I laughed when I heard that.
That's amazing.
Okay, so-
that's
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. So, do we have any overall criticisms? Any things that we
Well, what's
yeah.
funny is, okay, so I
Other
just
than
saw it
Carrie
last
Fisher.
I just saw it last night at the ArcLight in Culver City, which is awesome. And the bartender told me about a spot that he was like, I have one criticism about it. And he was telling me about it. And I knew immediately it was the one moment I had to step out to pee. So I missed it. So
Fantastic.
there was a line that Carrie Fisher said about their kids or something like that. I don't know. I didn't see it. I stepped out. It was one moment I had to run outside. So I missed it. But I hear that's other than that, I honestly don't. I mean,
There's two conversations that bugged me because they were too on the nose. They're very the dialogue was just, I don't know, the dialogue just wasn't that great. In two conversations in the entire movie. And it's that one that you're talking about. It's Carrie Fisher talking to Harrison Ford,
Right.
Leia talking to Han, and they are talking about what happened over the last 10 years or however long it's been since Kylo Ren went berserk. And it's that type of dialogue where it's like, as you know, Bob, 5 years ago, Jim did this, and then and you were there, you remember? Yeah. So it's like, it was a little bit like that, and I was sort of
Super
like,
on the money.
okay, you know.
That's what he said to me. And
Yeah.
that's what Kendall said too. Is she said it was just really bad exposition in that one moment.
And the other one
There was
was
a lot of
was
exposition to be given. If I mean,
it was. I just think that it could have been done. Yeah, I think
there's
that
a lot of
like
exposition to be given.
for sure. I just think that I think they could have done it, and of course it's very arrogant to say like, you know, like I know how I could have written that dialogue, but
why did they need to? I mean, honestly, I stepped out in that moment. I didn't hear it. I didn't miss it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I mean, that's the thing, is that you could have used that dialogue space to hint at what came before, or to say it very generally, but more to build the emotional stakes for them. Not artificially build them by saying, this is why this is important, but to let the characters have a moment to show how important it was to them. Because that was the problem, was that the dialogue was saying, these things happened, and so it's very important that we do this, as opposed to saying, yeah, as opposed to just letting them reveal to each other in a moment on camera that this is very important to them, while maybe saying a few words or hinting at why it's so important to them. It's a minor gripe, honestly, but it's a gripe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing, and that's my only real complaint with the movie. There's one complaint that I've heard multiple people make that I just want to set on fire right here and just say, if you believe this, you are wrong. Which is the fact that Rey beat Kylo Ren in the lightsaber duel at the end of the movie. That was completely unrealistic. How was she?
She was a badass with like when I saw her with this lightsaber, I was like, she's gonna obviously do a lot better than Finn, because he knows blasters. She knows those types of weapons.
Right.
I mean, yes, her weapon is a staff, but she's
Right.
ass at that staff, and they established that early on. She's had
Yes.
to fight on her own. So I thought that's a silly.
And people say, but Kylo Ren is a Sith Lord. No, he's not at all. He's a petulant child trying to become something more than he is, but he's so not there yet. And he's so far from a Sith Lord. He's not even close to as powerful.
And he looks like a child. Like,
He
you know what I
does.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
in a good way. I mean, he's supposed to be, sort of a child.
Exactly. And the whole thing...
The way he fetishizes Darth Vader is so interesting.
As a filmmaking choice, that's the most brilliant thing they could have done. We have a new Star Wars movie. You have to live up to the legacy of one of the best film villains who's ever existed, Darth Vader. How do you do that? Let's literally have our villain trying to live up to Darth Vader. Like, talk about making it easy on the actor. Like, okay, so you're acting in the scene, and you really are trying to be as awesome and as powerful as Darth Vader is. Wait, my character is, or like I'm trying to do it for the film? Yes. Like, you know,
right. What's interesting about that too is that he misses the fact that Darth changed at the end.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like as if he doesn't believe it, as if
I'm sure he doesn't know it. Or I'm sure Snoke convinced him otherwise.
I'm curious. I'm really curious where they're taking this next. I'm really interested to see where 8's going to go. I love the fact that Rian Johnson is directing it.
I know.
I heard that they're doing it on film too.
They did this one on film.
See, that's what I thought. I was like, this looked like it was film. I was telling Kendall, and she was like, I don't know. I thought it was digital, but that's what I thought. It looked like it was film. It's funny that like film is becoming a look. You know what I mean? Totally. I mean, it always had a look, but I mean, it's especially Kendall's been just really studying these 48 frame per second movies, all the Hobbit movies, for this thing that I don't know if I can say now because they've passed the date that they're supposed to launch this thing that she's been working for, but it's supposed to be sort of NDA bound up until that point. But I haven't heard whether they've launched it yet or not. So maybe the NDA still. Anyway, so she's been studying those films and she was telling me about them and stuff like that. She believes that that basically all films are going to go that way one day. And I don't know.
I hope they figure out how to make it look better because I don't like how it looks at all. Period. I just don't.
No.
Like I don't ever really want to make a film that way unless. See, the thing is, well, people used to think that way about 3D, and then Avatar happened, and after Avatar, I was like, okay, if you want to make a movie in 3D, you might fuck it up, and I might not like it, but I'll check it out. And if somebody says the 3D is really good, then I'll be like, okay, cool, I'll check it out. And to me, high frame rate is pre-Avatar 3D, where if I hear a movie's high frame rate, I'm like, are you trying to say something, Michelle? I keep hearing a noise from you.
That's BB.
Sorry, BB-8 like really likes 3D. BB-8,
Wow.
do you like 3D?
Oh my God! I want him.
BB-8 has Carrie Fisher had plastic surgery? Oh, BB-8. Is it BB-8? Are you gonna die in one of the upcoming films?
You know that we can hear you clicking, right? You know that we can hear that.
No, that was me clicking. That was me typing.
Yes, sure.
All right, fine. Okay.
Anyways.
Carry on.
So, well, now I completely forget what I was talking about because I just want a BB-8 very badly. Like, more than I want anything right now.
And your kids would love it.
Oh, they'd go
Eat it up,
berserk, and I
right.
would never let them touch him, ever.
He rolls around too. You can make him go anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the commercial.
Carry on.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah, so Kylo Ren and where Kylo Ren is going to go, and I like that the light side of the Force can tempt you, just like the dark side of the Force
that's cool.
Yes.
can tempt you.
I mean,
That's
like, I
so
was
awesome.
worried in that fight at the end. I thought Rey was starting to go to the dark side for a bit there.
Well, I think she was, and I think that
Yeah.
the Force intervened and split the ground between them. I think she was about to kill Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what
Yeah.
it looked like.
And so
But do you think the
so
Force
going back to the whole
intervened or
thing
did it
about
happen?
sorry, what Michelle?
Did the Force intervene or did it just happen?
I think the Force intervened. That's my personal viewpoint.
Sure.
I don't know that it matters that much, but regardless, if she'd killed him, that would have been a step on the dark side. So
But I
think she did.
So I've never thought of the Force as something that has a life of its and an intellect of its own. I've only thought of it as sort of a a force and an energy.
Well, it's something that Obi-Wan Kenobi alluded to in Episode 4, where he says, he's talking to Luke, and he says, it's not by chance that, your droid found me out in the desert and that I found you. We were meant to run into each other, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's just sort of a little, okay, but he says it's a theme that, like, the Force sort of, like, guides what's going on and tries to exert its influence and maintain balance and whatever. So whether it actually just happened or it was the Force, but that goes back to what we were talking about, where this whole thing started, where it's like, yeah, okay, so Rey knows how to fight, and she knows how to fight close quarters with a melee weapon,
Right.
and she is very powerful with the Force, like, very powerful,
Right.
And Kylo Ren got fucking shot by Chewie, and he still managed to take down Finn, who, as we saw, Finn's not that great with the lightsaber. He had it in the battle on the forest planet, and he got owned by another stormtrooper with a spinny rifle, whatever the fuck that thing was.
Right, yeah.
Like, it beat his ass.
Yeah.
And so Finn got his fucking ass handed to him. Kylo Ren, like, cut him up the whole back. So it's like, oh, she's like automatically amazing with the lightsaber. Motherfucker, in Episode 4, Luke goes from flying a land speeder on Tatooine to piloting an X-Wing and landing a perfect shot that blows up the Death Star. And people are like, well, but that's not a lightsaber. I'm like, motherfucker, learn how to fence and then learn how to fly a plane and tell me which one takes you longer. Like, one is much harder than the other one.
See, certain nerd convos, like, they step beyond my ability to go. You know what I mean?
They step beyond rationality. That's the thing.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about characters. You're talking about characters in a fiction anyway. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day,
it has to be. I mean, it still has to be believable.
Yeah. Can you believe it is really? I don't know. I mean, I think that.
And does the movie make you enjoy it enough that you can suspend your disbelief?
Exactly.
We don't believe in the Force. We just enjoy the movie so much that we're like, cool, the Force. I like it.
Right.
I believe in the Force.
Well, good.
Although I will say, this is just me being cheesy. Speaking of like Force, and the Force of the movie and kind of how it's like, I don't know, like cosmically great. Like I had the most fun in a theater. I saw it on Thursday at 7:30. And it was just
you've only seen it once? Okay, that's cool.
Wow.
I've only seen it once too, Michelle, but I do plan on seeing it again.
Oh yeah. Me too. But
So good.
but it was just great to be in a theater full of folks and that were like cheering when all these things like
Yeah.
when Harrison Ford comes on, when she gets the lightsaber, like it
When
was
the
just
gold letters came up,
oh
I mean,
yeah, I know.
like everyone
And
was.
yes, like
It
it was
was
yeah.
so funny. Like I had no idea. So today's Kendall's birthday, and I'm a little bummed that I'm kind of not hanging out with her right now because it's her birthday. But so we went last night, and she got so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how excited I am right now." I was like, "Really?" I had no idea. She starts tearing up, and like I'm the crier in the family, so that's so rare. I'm like, "What is happening?" I had no idea. She was like, "I didn't either." She didn't even really know how big a part of her life the Star Wars movies had been until she was sitting there waiting for the gold letters to come up on the screen. And as they were going and as the music was going and everything, I was just like, I kept looking over and I couldn't believe this
Yeah.
stuff is, it's. Oh, by the way, I read a fascinating article about how George Lucas really took control of this in a way early on, and it was almost on by happenstance. Like Fox basically, he could have negotiated himself instead of $150,000, and what was initially, by the way, an $8 million picture, by the way.
Took control of what? I'm very confused.
Wow.
The
franchise,
merchandising, and the sequels. So he was like, look, they were
The Force Awakens?
No. I'm talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about the
original.
70s.
Gotcha.
The original. Sorry. So back in the 70s,
yeah,
when he was negotiating this deal with Fox, and he had a chance, and I don't know how this happened, but he had a chance to jump from $150,000 up to $500,000. I was just saying the original Star Wars had an $8 million budget. Eventually, they bumped it up to 11 as they were like getting into production and stuff like that, but it was only $8 million. Now Fox,
you know who paid for it?
The original?
Mm-hmm.
I assume 20th Century Fox.
He did. He said
the original Star Wars?
Yeah, he said, fine, fuck it, I'll pay for it. And Fox was like, all right, fine, we'll put it into production.
Wait, out of his own money?
Out of his own money.
Well, I know he did for the second and the third movies, but I don't think that's true about the original Star Wars.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm fairly, because I just read an article this morning about it. Anyway, assuming I'm right, his fee went from, because why would he pay himself less money? I think you're thinking of the second and the third movies, but at any rate, what happened is that he negotiated for only $150,000 instead of the $500,000 because he said, I want merchandising and I want the sequels rights. And at the time he had come off American Graffiti, which was like an Oscar nominee, and he was a pretty fresh new, but they thought he was going to be sort of this young, like they saw the sci-fi thing is not going to do anything. And they were like, yeah, okay, sure. Save $350,000, take the sequel rights, take the merchandising. And what's funny is that he didn't really even care about the merchandising. He didn't think, he was like, I'll make some mugs and maybe like a couple of wind-up toys, and that's it. He didn't really think anything of it. And that is the thing that made him a gazillionaire.
Yeah.
But the sequels was what he was fighting for, and the second two films were self-financed, and I think that's probably what you're thinking about, Garrett, is because they're both self-financed. And by then, I'm not sure what the exact the timing is, but I don't know if THX and Skywalker Sound were already happening, but the amount of merchandise money that has been made, and $4 billion is what Disney paid for this whole thing. George Lucas is, and it's funny because it doesn't sound like it was almost like a whim. You know what I mean? That's what I'll include the link to this in the show notes because it's a really fantastic Vanity Fair article. Vanity Fair, and I just read it today. But anyway, so I think that's what you're thinking of, by the way.
Maybe.
I don't know if you've seen anything otherwise, but I'm fairly certain that that 20th Century Fox paid the $11 million that eventually were, because I don't think he had $11 million at the time. He only had American Graffiti. You know what I mean? He didn't have
Well, I mean, there are a lot of options. Like he could have found individual investors on his own and
I
then
don't
kind
think
of
he
like
did. I
done
mean,
it
I read this
himself.
whole article today about how Vanity Fair funded it. So I mean, like, I mean, not Vanity Fair. Sorry, 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it doesn't make any sense that how is that a coup to pay yourself $350,000 if you're paying? It doesn't really make a difference. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't.
I think okay. Well, this is something that we need to research longer, but I have read
We did
from
so much
multiple
research.
sources that that's what happened. That he couldn't get them to do it. So that Fox rejected the Star Wars script so many times that eventually he just said, "Fuck it, I'll put up my own money."
Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case, but
Could be wrong.
yeah.
I mean, you
Anyway,
find a lot of films like this where the studios have just rejected scripts like over and over and over and over again, and then there's the tenacity of the filmmaker that kind of is the story behind the story.
Hmm.
right.
It's really interesting. I'd be interested in knowing how many for like kind of fairly large blockbuster films, how many had times each one of them had been pitched to studios.
Oh
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's one thing that, as Kendall's been doing this project, she's studying about all these different films and how much Peter Jackson had to fight and how much he moved from here to there. And Miramax was gonna do Lord of the Rings in a single movie, and he was like, please, if I can just find somebody else to buy it from you. And that's when he eventually got, I think it was New Line, right? Who ended up doing them. I mean, it's fascinating how close so many of these things that end up being massive hits get to never ever having been made in the first place. You know what I mean? And it's lessons like that that just make it seem like, what we're doing right now, struggling, you know what I mean, is that, they all had to do it.
Yeah.
None of these guys started with, I mean, some of them started off with a little bit of money, like Donald Trump. He's like, oh, I had a tiny $1 million loan from my dad. You know what I mean? It's like some of them had these tiny
Why do we keep talking
loans.
about Donald Trump? I don't want to talk about him.
I didn't bring it
No,
up
neither
this
do I.
time. I
No,
will
neither
bring
do
up
I.
though. I've like perfectly framed
But he
the
just did
Empire
it.
Strikes Back poster behind me, and
He just got this tiny $1 million
Oh my God,
loan
no,
is
we're
all.
done. Okay, so I want to talk about one other, like, fairly legitimate criticism of the film, which doesn't bother me, but I understand why it would bother other people, which is that there's so many things that are just like Episode 4. Starting off on a desert planet with the orphan or the parentless person who longs to leave the planet, meets a person who's not necessarily on the best terms with the Empire, and they escape the planet on the Millennium Falcon. Meanwhile, she acquires the main character acquires an older mentor type figure who teaches them that the Force is real, despite it seemingly being just a myth. All this sort of thing, right down to the Death Star and the trench battle at the end of the movie and everything like that. So, these things are very true. Did it bother you guys?
it did. It did. Yeah, it did. It felt
Not
a
at
little
all.
bit. There was a part of me, like my soul, that was like, "Oh, this is familiar and it's wonderful and it makes me happy." But then there's another part of me that was like, "Oh, it doesn't feel very."
It didn't
I
bother
wanted
me.
it to be a little something to be different.
I think people are so fixated on things being original, and I think there's a very particular type of artist that is drawn to originality in a way that I am not. I like things that are original, but generally my philosophy with originality, I mean, not that I hate things that are original. I like good stories.
Right.
That's what I care about. If it's a trope, it's not a good story. If it's cliched, it's not a good story. But what is cliche and what is trope is different to everybody. You know what I mean? It's all at the end of the day. And to me, none of it really bothered me. The
only thing that's significant that bothered me to any significant degree is that the Starkiller base looked almost exactly like the Death Star. Like, I thought that they could have taken a brave new design choice, like design some big gigantic base that sucks the power from the sun and blows up the thing and whatever. But again, minor
I like the
gripe.
fact that it was an actual planet, like it was a converted planet. I like that, and I thought that was.
And
I
did
thought that was cool.
I did think that in the meeting when they're talking and Leia looks around and is like, Yeah, but these things always have a weak point. That was sort of a little nod.
Yeah,
It's like,
that was a nod, yes.
we know, we know it's a Death Star. We know we're gonna do the thing and blow up the thing that's blowing up the thing. We know. Come on.
Yeah.
Fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like there's a, you know what I mean? Like I think people get so fixated on that stuff. It's like if you want to see something really original, you're not gonna get it at these big spectacle movies. I'm sorry, that's not. You're going to the wrong movie, guys. See something out of some made for a few $100s on somebody's iPhone. You know what I mean? Go see Tangerine. You know what I mean? Go see. There's so many other films. You're seeing the wrong movie if that's what you're looking for, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah. And so even when I was sort of like, oh, that's just like from the thing, it just didn't bug me at all. Yeah. And the most important thing, the thing that lets us forget anything like that, and the thing that lets us enjoy the movie and makes us so like fucking excited for Episode 8, is that Star Wars is about characters who you want to hang out with, doing awesome stuff you want to watch, and like being friends. They're such good friends, and I love it. It's just so it's great. Yeah.
Oh, something we didn't talk about. Andy Serkis.
Yes.
Again.
Wait. Who is he?
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Good.
Andy fucking Serkis in everything.
Oh, I love Serkis.
Okay.
What are they going to do when Andy Serkis can't play anymore? Like, when he's like, I retire, I'm out. Like,
to be honest, that was actually my biggest criticism, is that he didn't look more, the character didn't look more realistic.
I'm willing to say that's a holographic projection, and so let's see him in real life, like, because Maz Tanaka, the little yellow thing with the goggles,
she love her.
No, I agree.
So when we see Snoke, by the way, I'm positive he's going to be about 4 feet tall. When we see Snoke,
oh Jesus Christ! Sorry guys, I had a coworker here. Sorry. Oh my God, just scared me.
So when we see Snoke for real, like, I'll reserve judgment until then. But he definitely did look sort of CG, and not great CG.
He did, yeah, no, and that was my concern with it too.
I guess, like, and there's also like and maybe this is just a whole thing, but there's like such a similarity in my mind, like look-wise, to like the Golems and the what's his name, Harry Potter.
Voldemort.
And the Voldemorts of the world. I felt like they could have been a little bit more.
Well, do you know who we think Snoke is?
Well, I kind of thought he was. I kind of thought he was like that the Emperor had somehow survived.
No,
I don't know. No, he couldn't have.
The theory is that in the prequels, Palpatine tells Anakin the story of a Sith named Darth Plagueis. And he is a Jedi. He was a Sith so powerful that he could bring people back to life, and that's how Palpatine tried to lure Anakin to the dark side. And Palpatine was Darth Sidious, the apprentice of Plagueis, and as he told Anakin in the prequels, he killed his master, Plagueis. Right. So the favored fan theory of mine is that Plagueis survived the assassination attempt, and that's him. He's Snoke. So
interesting.
Time will tell.
I am curious how the what are they called? The First Order, the new, what's the first wave? I can't remember.
First Order. Yeah.
First Order. I'm curious how they, like, sort of the history of it. You know what I mean? How they like that general is so evil. Like, he looks like a Weasley, by the way. Who is that actor? Who is that actor? I was like,
I don't know. I don't familiar, but
evil Gingers.
I know his name. I heard his name.
Evil
he had to have been a Harry Potter guy. Like, he has to have been in Harry Potter.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Is he a Harry Potter guy?
I bet he's like British. Yeah, no, he's Irish. Yeah. He's in Love Actually.
Oh, maybe that's where I've seen him. He looks.
He's Bill Weasley. Bill Weasley.
He's one of the Weasleys. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yay! What?
Good spot.
There's only 5 gingers in Hollywood, and they're playing everything.
Well, they're not in Hollywood. They're in England.
Well, Okay,
Those
fine.
gingers. I think they have more
No,
gingers per
no,
capita.
Hollywood.
All right, guys. I know that we could talk about this movie for like 2 or 3 more
Yes.
hours, but we are an hour into the show, so that's
Oh,
a little bit
Lord.
longer than we
Yes.
normally like to go. Uh,
That's good.
the moral of the story is, if you haven't seen this movie, well, you're not listening anymore because we just did
Get
the
the
spoiler
fuck out,
section.
yeah.
Yeah, but oh my God, if you have seen this movie, go see it again. I don't know.
I'm gonna definitely see it at least a second time in the theater.
I might see it
So
again
much
before
fun.
Christmas. I might see it a couple more times for Christmas. I don't know. I want to just go watch it for a day. I want to
Just keep watching it.
So over and
I
over and over again.
want to get the same theater 6 shows in a row and just go watch it over and over again. I want to say a thank you to the filmmakers because I took Dawn to see it on Friday morning and we came out of the theater and she was just like, "Can I be Ray?" I was like, "Yes." Yes, you can be Ray.
That's hilarious.
So,
Yay, girl power.
yay,
Yay.
girl power. All right, so we will end with things to know. Michelle, you were the most eager to do your things to know.
I didn't
Wait,
mean
we don't wanna
it
do
like
the-
that. I was saying.
Wait. What about rate the show, etc.? We usually
Oh
do that before
yeah,
the
sorry.
news.
So the community news, more community news. As always, we ask that whether you're watching us live on YouTube or listening on the audio feed on iTunes afterwards, please go and rate the show on iTunes. Ratings help other people find us, help grow the community, etc., etc. It's all good stuff. Please go do it. Our next event is still, when is it?
Next event is going to be.
Yeah.
Is it the 6th? It's the first Wednesday and it's still going to be at Melrose Light Space. It's going to be January.
6th.
Hold, please. Yes, it is the 6th. So it's going to be at the Melrose Light Space. In fact, all 4 of our January workshops are going to be at the Melrose Light Space. After that, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. But
Hopefully the Asylum.
hopefully the Asylum. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then finally, we like to remind you that We Make Movies is the only filmmaking community in the world, so far as we know, that is fully supported by its community, and that happens at Patreon.com. If you don't know what Patreon.com is, it's a crowdfunding site like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, except instead of one big fat crowdfunding push all at once, it's like a voluntary monthly subscription to an artist whose work you like so that they can keep creating their art and survive. So that happens at patreon.com/WeMakeMovies. You can go there, you can become a supporter, you get all kinds of awesome, cool perks and benefits, and you allow us to continue putting on events every week for people for free. So go check it out, patreon.com/WeMakeMovies. Oh, and I feel like I forgot this on the last 2 shows that we did. 70 cents of every dollar that you contribute at this point goes into a rolling production fund that We Make Movies then gets to use to produce things written and directed by the community. So it's pretty cool. You actually get to help fund film projects that are put on by the community, and if you're in the community, guess what? The project will be made by you too. So it's good stuff. Check it out. Patreon.com/WeMakeMovies. And things to know. Michelle.
I actually didn't have shit to tell you about things to know. I was just asking if there were things to know. I was just asking if it was going to happen. So it's not
guess it's happening now.
There's holidays coming up.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Happy New Year. I have a bunch of New Year's resolutions. They're very exciting.
Well, New Filmmakers LA and Movie Maker posted a video of an interview that I did with them a couple days ago. The interview, though, I did the interview. Sorry, I said that wrong. I did an interview with New Filmmakers LA and Movie Maker in May, and they just posted it 2 days ago. So. It's about Tuesday morning. It's a pretty cool interview. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm surprised that they actually, according to the YouTube link, which is unlisted, I don't know why it's unlisted. It appears that it was posted in September 18th, and then it took them 3 months to announce it. I'm sure it's all Movie Maker. New Filmmakers LA is fantastic, and I thank them very much. But I'll include the show notes. I'll include the link in the show notes, so you can check it out. It doesn't mean as much if you haven't seen Tuesday Morning, but and if you haven't seen Tuesday Morning, you can see it on IndieFlix. Or if you want to, I can send you a private link if you're interested. Just email me, chat@wemakemovies.org, or just ask on Twitter, and then I'll message you.
Huzzah, Michelle.
No, I really didn't have any fucking things to know.
I'm just calling on you to make it to shame. Shame.
BB-8, what do you think?
Shame.
He's pissed. That's
Shame.
the music. Okay, now he's not pissed anymore.
Did you see that scene,
Don't be
Chad? Are
pissed,
you up to
BB-8.
are you up to date on Game of Thrones?
I've watched only the 5th season. I don't really like anything prior to that.
Oh, it's the shame thing with Moment.
remember
where
Shame.
Oh,
where
how
they're
could
marching
you? Oh, how
Cersei
could
through the
you
streets.
not?
Shame.
Oh yes, I do
Shame.
remember that. Yes.
All right.
God, speaking of, don't tell my boyfriend, but I got him the new PS4 Game of Thrones game for Christmas. It's very exciting.
I will make sure to refrain from mentioning that the next time that I talk to him.
He doesn't listen to the podcast.
Excellent.
Shame. Shame.
Shame.
Well, he won't feel
My
it
thing
if
to
he
know-
doesn't want to listen to it. So.
My thing to know is I want that motherfucking BB-8. I want it so bad. I want it badly. I want it right now. And with that, I will call an end to this 100th episode of the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for 100 awesome episodes. We hope you stick around with us for 100 awesome more ones. I'm Garrett Robinson. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Chad is online at superfreako.com, and you can find Michelle on Twitter at mlucadoo. We'll see you in the new year, everybody. Goodbye.
Dance with me, BB-8. Dance. BB-8, yeah. Good. Yeah.